So there are like 3 things that I'm an expert in. One is the 1990 show Xena Warrior Princess.
Look, I have a tattoo.
Number 2, I'm not gonna tell you about, but number 3 is Britney Spears.
America, I want you to know that before I'm an American, I'm a Britney fan.
And because I have so much knowledge about Britney that is mostly just going to waste, and because I want to break from the more depressing subjects that I've been talking about on this channel, I've been thinking about starting a Britney lore series for a minute. There's lots of stuff to talk about, like the M&M's tour, Britney's letters of truth on her old website, her PlayStation 2 game, these books that Britney wrote. But since it's Pride Month, I thought maybe we could start by discussing the bi-directional love and support between Britney and the LGBTQ community.
I think it's fine you're gay.
Britney Spears emerged into this world as a Bible Belt baby, born in Macomb, Mississippi, and raised in Kentwood, Louisiana in a Southern Baptist faith. Her first single as a solo artist, Baby One More Time, premiered when Britney was just 16 years old, clad in a sexy Catholic schoolgirl outfit, which encapsulated the ongoing irony of Britney's career as American pop princess. She was pushing the boundaries of sexual expressiveness for young girls, while still within the confines of American puritanical comfort, occasionally talking about her religious faith and her supposed commitment to celibacy, despite her professional display of sexual prowess and occasional candidness about her own sexuality. It's still to this day hard to know how much of Britney's early era claims of chastity actually came from her, and how much of it was influenced by a more calculated marketing effort. Because while Britney was publicly claiming to be a virgin, she was also doing interviews like this.
Favorite position? You can take that any way you want. On top.
Even with her good Christian girl image, which in the 90s and early 2000s kind of necessitated she hide any genuine sexual desire, Britney has always given hints of being a little bit of a freak.
Fave seduction. Answer these however you want. Favorite seduction.
Oh, like just
Whether you want to do it or you want someone to do it to you.
Oh, okay.
Favorite seduction.
Okay, for a guy to kiss my feet.
Of course, that's still a very heterosexual statement, and Britney Spears does present as a heterosexual woman, but she's not the first seemingly straight woman to be accepted as a gay icon. Judy Garland's celebrity has been so thoroughly enmeshed with LGBTQ history that some historians have theorized her death was one of the many events that built into provoking the Stonewall riots of 1969. And the phrase, "Friends of Dorothy," a reference to her most famous movie role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, has become a popular euphemism for queer people, especially queer men. I once saw someone on the internet say that we should start referring to straight people as friends of Ed Sheeran, and I think that's fantastic. Judy Garland isn't a gay icon because she herself was gay. She was presumably about as heterosexual as they come. But there's a lot about Judy that gay men in particular could identify with and admire. Those with a penchant for the more camp aspects of gay culture could appreciate Judy's theatricality and exaggerated gesticulations. She also kept many queer people in her inner circle, including her father, who was reportedly gay, and 2 of her husbands who were rumored to be bisexual. More than that, though, many queer people identify with Judy's struggles and her perseverance against adversity. Writer Richard Dyer told Entertainment Weekly last year, her image was that she was very ordinary and that she had all these problems that became known and she suddenly appeared not ordinary. She was a misfit. In a way, that is the gay biography growing up. You're brought up ordinary and then you realize that you're not. Fellow writer Nathaniel Frank added, she compared herself to a wind-up doll, manufactured by adults for their entertainment, so she was never able to really be herself, and yet when she performed, she exhibited this level of authentic emotion. Dorothy's journey in The Wizard of Oz has itself become a metaphor for the queer experience, with Frank stating, Dorothy is inseparable from Judy. The anguished, dreaming quality, escaping from a drab black and white world where adults misunderstood her, then this stormy day catapults her over the rainbow to a dream world where a cadre of lovable misfits like herself want to protect her. The Dorothy story of escape to a better place where people can be themselves had obvious appeal to queer people for generations. Britney Spears is, in a way, a real-life Dorothy, crossing the threshold between a regular working-class lifestyle into the world of superstardom as a seemingly meek and innocent adolescent girl. Like Dorothy, crossing that threshold involved becoming somewhat of an ally and representative for the misfits of society, and like Judy Garland, Britney openly associated herself with gay people. What I think is somewhat underappreciated about Britney's queer advocacy is that she was speaking about her love and respect for the gay community pretty early in her career, during years when being an outspoken LGBT ally wasn't yet the norm for the world's biggest stars, especially those actively marketing themselves as good celibate Christian teens. Britney told Advocate.com in 2013, "I think it was when I was on tour for my second album. I began to realize that there were a lot of gay people coming to the shows, and they were just having so much fun, laughing, and really enjoying themselves." Here's a clip from Britney around that same time, in 2001, a year in which a Gallup poll shows that 53% of Americans thought that gay or lesbian relationships were morally wrong, and 42% thought they shouldn't even be legal.
Our readers and viewers know that obviously gay men have an impact on your career, your life, because you have to look fabulous and you have to sound fabulous.
But they have the market tied up on that?
We are the most fabulous. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the influence of the gay community and gay men in your work and in your life, and also if you could set me up with Justin, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, fine.
Woo, okay. Seriously, all of my friends, all of my dancers are gay, and I love them. They're my best friends. No, for real, I love them, and I tell them I probably talk to them more than I do my girlfriends. So I think it's very cool and very flattering, you know. But the Justin thing, I'll have to get back with you.
As Britney herself matured, her public image became increasingly sexual and quietly rebellious. Her embrace of the queer community became more overt and even slightly risque, sometimes herself participating in queer acts on stage. Of course, there's the iconic performance at the 2003 VMAs where Britney and Christina kissed Madonna. Far less discussed, though, are the many Breathe on Me performances from around that time where Britney dances suggestively with her male and female dancers. Some of those female dancers also danced suggestively with one another. Now, I know it's kind of easy to write off any girl-on-girl action as just like a male gaze effort to sexualize sapphic desire, but it wasn't just lesbian action taking place on Britney's stages. For instance, in 2004, for Britney's Onyx Hotel tour, a show emceed by a clearly queer-coded fictional character and inspired by the Grand Hotel musical, a Broadway show directed by the openly gay Tommy Tune. Again, watch the Breathe on Me performances for the show, where Britney and a male dancer simulate foreplay on a bed, and the male dancer licks her foot.
Favorite seduction?
Okay, for a guy to kiss my feet.
You can see off to the sides similar scenarios being acted out with same-sex pairings of women and men. That same year, Britney filmed her In the Zone and Out All Night special for MTV, which showed her doing pop-up performances at 3 clubs in New York, including the gay club Splash, where Britney was introduced by the famous drag queen Lady Bunny.
Welcome to the one place where you will not get hit on. There's not a real man inside.
Following her Las Vegas wedding to Jason Alexander, who unfortunately will come up again in this video, Britney became one of the first people that NSYNC member Lance Bass came out to.
Took her to her room and we were sitting on the bed and I was like, and she wouldn't stop crying, so I was like, I'm gay.
Because you were trying to give her something.
Yeah, and it made her stop crying. So
wow.
Yeah.
And was she sweet and supportive?
Yeah, she chuckled, yeah.
Right.
One of the most infamous subjects of Britney lore is her lost album, The Original Doll, a record that Britney was reportedly working on around 2004, which apparently got shelved because Jive thought it didn't fit her persona. One track reportedly written for the album was called Take Off. Michelle Bell, a co-writer on several of the album's planned tracks, told Buzzfeed in 2014, "It was about being tolerant about gay people. It was about gay people, discrimination, basically loving yourself and being connected. I think it was ahead of Lady Gaga. I think people would have looked at her and thought she had something to say. It was ahead of its time." Britney has advocated for LGBTQ rights in several ways throughout her career, from filming videos for the GLAAD campaign.
Hi guys, it's Britney. Spirit Day is October 15th and I'll be going purple to take a stand against bullying in support of LGBT youth. Join me by pledging your support at glad.org/spiritday.
To recording vocals for the song Hands, a track made in tribute to the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting.
I've been watching news and seeing all this hate. And tell me, is it wrong to want a little change?
To signing an open letter in protest of anti-trans legislation in Texas back in 2017. The following year, Britney accepted the Vanguard Award at the 29th Annual GLAAD Media Awards.
Being a mother has shown me what it means to love unconditionally, and you are all in this room have showed me throughout my career what it means to be loved unconditionally.
Britney loves and is beloved by her gay following, but that doesn't mean she doesn't discriminate against people for their sexual orientation.
I'll never forget my first conversation with her. They introduced me on our tour bus and she just said, "Are you gay?" And I was like, "No, I'm straight and married with kids." And she didn't respond and didn't speak to me for several weeks.
And of course, there's the moment that Britney realized Ryan Seacrest isn't gay.
I do.
You do? You put spray cologne on your girl?
I spray girls' cologne on my pillows to make me think they're there.
But do you like...
And not only is he not gay, Brit, he sexually harassed and assaulted his former female stylist. Allegedly. Probably. Anyway, Britney appears to be just another cis-hetero woman who still managed to become a gay icon. But how hetero is Britney really? According to her, very.
And you received praise from Entertainment Weekly this week for leaving the lyrics intact, i.e. can't get no girly action. Is this a conscious effort on your part to reach out to your lesbian following?
No.
No?
What did you say?
Are you trying to reach out to your lesbian following by talking about can't get no girly action in the Satisfaction song?
No, that wasn't the intention for that.
Are you bisexual?
No.
Of course, that clip came from the year 2000 when Britney was about 18 years old. Perhaps she hadn't had the chance to really explore her sexuality yet. But then in 2011, Out magazine asked Britney, "What women, living or dead, could make you think twice about your sexuality?" To which Britney responded, "I only have eyes for men." There is some reason to be suspicious of that interview, given that it came out in 2011, a year in which Britney's conservatorship seemed especially strict and her interviews especially dubious. And the entire interaction between Out magazine and Britney took place via email, so I hate to be conspiratorial about it, but anything between like 2008 and 2019 that is said by Britney but that we haven't seen come specifically from Britney's mouth does warrant some questions. But still, Britney has always publicly identified as straight, so I'm just gonna take her word for it until she says otherwise. But I won't deny being slightly intrigued by the amount of people that have challenged the idea that she's 100% heterosexual. In 2003, there were comments made by porn star Jenna Jameson.
So tell me the real scoop with Britney Spears.
Oh, no.
Come on, for once, give me a scoop here. What happened? You met her where?
Well, how it all came about, and I'm setting the record straight for the very first time. I've never talked about this with anybody else.
Good.
I was on the road dancing and stripping.
Right.
And a certain guy that I know who's a photographer, paparazzi, and I was talking about Britney because I was kind of infatuated with her.
She's a beautiful girl.
Hot girl, hot.
Right. Your type?
My type of girl.
Okay.
She's got that thickness. Right, so I was talking about her, and he's like, you know, that's funny that you mention her because I was just hanging out with her.
There you go.
I was in her dressing room, and she had a big case full of DVDs.
Right.
And he went and started looking through them, and he found one of my movies.
A Jenna Jameson DVD.
Yes.
In Britney Spears' room.
Yes.
Wow.
So he asked her, he goes, "So, you like Jenna?" And she's like, "I love Jenna." So I got the chance to go to her concert when she came into Phoenix.
Right.
And there seemed to be a lot of eye contact. Maybe it was in my head. I don't know. But
I don't think you're lying.
I don't know. There seemed to be like, you know, she was winking at me and stuff, but maybe she didn't know who I was.
Right.
I don't know. So I ended
She was winking at you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I was getting all excited. I was
This is going to be a good love story.
It's on, right?
Yes.
So then I go to the concert, and throughout the whole concert, I'm like in the front row. She's staring at me. So then I'm like, okay, is Britney going to hang around? Maybe I can, see her afterwards.
So you think like a guy. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to, totally get in. And I guess she had another gig, so she had to jump right on the bus. So I was like totally let down. Okay, I didn't get to meet her.
Right.
So a couple weeks go by, and I get a phone call, and they were like, well, we want to invite you to the opening of her restaurant.
Yeah. Right, the one here in Manhattan.
Nyla, right.
Nyla.
So I was like, oh, this is it.
This is it, right. She wants you.
Maybe the word came from her.
Right.
So I'm totally putting everything together, right?
Right, smart, yeah.
So I go, and so we're in the VIP area, and we're sitting in the booth, and all of a sudden there's like this big commotion. She comes in,
right.
She sits down, and she
like Queen Tut.
Right, yeah. So she looks at me, and I'm like, I make a beeline for her, and all her people are like, no!
They block.
They block, because by that time it had hit the tabloids that there was something about me and her.
Right.
They wouldn't let me next to her.
And that was it?
And that was it.
Then there's Britney's ex-bodyguard who claimed that she once told him about some hookup she had had with other women during her old touring days pre-conservatorship. In 2007, rumors were fueled by OK Magazine that Britney had a fling with her then assistant Shannon Funk. However, Funk later denied this. And once the custody battle between Britney and Kevin Federline started heating up, K-Fed was reportedly making some claims about Britney's alleged bisexuality as well. I like to collect old tabloids, especially ones with Britney on the cover, since studying her is my life's work. And this one is one of my all-time favorites, really just because of how absurd it is. So this is from Star Magazine. It says, Britney's dark secrets. She drank while pregnant, she's bisexual, and she wants baby Jaden drug tested. So inside it says, another source says that Kevin also suspects Britney and Paris may have done more than just hang out together. He thinks they may have messed around, kissing and getting undressed in front of each other, the source says. Kevin has seen what he calls Britney's lesbian tendencies before. That was in the summer of 2004, shortly after they first started dating, and Britney flew him to London where she was on tour. He followed her to a gay bar where he saw her dancing with other women and kissing them. And then it says, Brit's first husband, Jason Alexander, has also said Brit found other girls quite attractive. And there was a minute in the early 2000s when Jason Alexander, someone who would later be arrested for breaking into Britney's house on the day of her wedding with a knife, and was also at the January 6th insurrection, fun fact. He apparently was trying to publish some sort of tell-all book about his time with Britney after they got hitched in Vegas for like 55 hours. And Britney did have the arrangement annulled, I will add, so he's actually not her first husband, not legally, but I guess he was trying to say some shit about Britney having some lesbian tendencies, and said that that went all the way back to like high school for her. Now, of all those different sources, the only one I find even slightly credible is Jenna Jameson, since she does have a first-hand account, and I just can't see any reason for her to lie about that. But still, even then, all she really said was that she once felt like Britney was flirting with her. And that's not really proof of anything. So Britney Spears, probably heterosexual. But there are a few possibilities for why these stories keep popping up. The first is that Britney really is just into girls, which for me is the ideal scenario. I would love a Bi-ney. The second is that lesbianism is just so fetishized in Western culture that any report about a famous attractive woman being into girls is just titillating enough to proliferate news stories. And then kind of going off of that, the third option is just that since female bisexuality is so often dismissed as just a part of male fantasy, not a legitimate sexual or romantic orientation, rumors of Britney's bisexuality is proliferated as evidence that she is or was an out-of-control party girl and a slut. I mean, this whole thing in Star Magazine about how Britney was allegedly bisexual is brought up in the context of Britney's custody battle. Kevin Federline was allegedly trying to use that against her to try to paint her as an unfit mother. And even if that story's not true and Kevin wasn't actually trying to do that, that was still at least a believable enough thing for someone to do that Starr could write the story in the first place. At the time that this was published, which was in December of 2006, that just didn't seem that weird. So even without having her bisexuality confirmed, it was still being used against Britney to disparage her. It doesn't seem like a coincidence that much of the speculation around Britney's sexuality took place during an era when she was already being so heavily slut-shamed. And that relates back to one of Britney's primary appeals as a gay icon. Like with Judy Garland, a big part of why the queer community finds Britney so endearing is that she so publicly struggled against mainstream society's conception of what she should be, especially in regard to her sexual expressions. Starting as a teenager, but especially in her early 20s, Britney was regularly being asked to explain herself anytime she presented as anything other than a good, chaste Christian girl.
But what's this about? No kidding. What is it about?
What is it about?
Yeah.
It's about doing a beautiful picture.
Is it about shocking people?
About shocking. You know what? I feel
You know,
comfortable
this
in
is-
my skin. I think it's an okay thing to express yourself. But I want to be a good person for me, but I think it's a huge pressure to think that you have to take the responsibility to be this role model.
It's one thing not to want to be the role model anymore. It's another thing not to know that a lot of young girls are looking at this. A lot of them.
But am I responsible for them?
And the biggest scandal of her entire career to date revolves around her spur-of-the-moment decision to abandon a significant marker of her femininity, when Britney walked into a Tarzana salon to shave off her famous long blonde locks. Though she wasn't actually blonde at the time. In 2018, writer Coco Romack published an article with ID titled, "Why Britney Spears' Head-Shaving Moment is Deeply Inspiring for Me as a Trans Person." They write, "At the moment of her public decapitation of sorts, when she stepped into a Tarzana, California hair salon and shaved her head, the image was immediately and forever burned into my memory. There were initial feelings of pity. I succumbed to the pity porn, I'll admit it, but those soon dissipated, leaving other emotions in their absence. I related to her. This was above all an empowering moment. By stripping herself of her Barbie blonde hair, considered desirable for the pop starlet that was sexualized from a young age, Spears removed one of the clearest outward symbols of femininity. Liberated from the money-making vehicle, she took control of her body. For the star who was rarely at the wheel of her life and career, this was perhaps one of the first times." The Free Britney movement has received a lot of press in the last, 2 years, but something that I think has been underemphasized about the story is the role that fundamentalist Christianity played in the alleged abuse of Britney Spears. Reports on the arrangement's inception and its day-to-day operations have claimed that Britney's conservatorship started as an evangelical effort to bring Britney back into the light of God, specifically a low-key homophobic God. Britney's former business manager Lou Taylor was reportedly a major player in the plan to put Britney's conservatorship into place. In 2007, Britney allegedly wrote an email to her then attorney calling Lou a crazy lady and stalker, while claiming that Lou had repeatedly told Britney that Britney was possessed and needed Lou to come kill these spirits that lived inside her. Lou's apparent emails to Britney are heavy in references to God, include multiple Bible verses, and reference Britney undergoing a deliverance process. Around the same time of those emails, Britney said this to a videographer for X17.
My management totally knew what they were doing when they sent me to rehab. So right, and it just I'm just gonna cry right now because the world is so nice. This lady, she told me, she said, "Britney, go to the light. Go to the light and see Jesus, okay?" And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do it. And I did it.
Many fans have inferred that as a dig at Lou Taylor. Lou is a devout Christian who, alongside her pastor husband Rob Taylor of Calvary Chapel, Brentwood, apparently brought Jamie Spears into his new born-again faith and baptized Jamie in the Jordan River in 2017. In 2007, Lou said in a piece for Today's Christian Woman, "I have an interesting role in the marketplace because I work in the sports and entertainment industry. I know high-profile professionals who've come out of lifestyles of drunkenness, promiscuity, the whole thing. They can't put themselves back into that environment because of the temptation it creates. The Holy Spirit imparts wisdom about how to handle certain invitations and opportunities. I've always felt called to minister to people others don't normally get to. And I know a big part of that means hanging out with people who don't know God yet. I thrive in those situations. We're accountable before the Lord to bring the truth to others." In 2013, Britney got into some minor controversy when she answered a question on Twitter asking what her favorite book was, to which Britney, or someone handling Britney's accounts, "We don't know," replied, "Anything by Max Lucado, an insanely homophobic preacher who once compared homosexuality to legalized incest." Now, in Britney's defense, it's been reported that during the early years of her conservatorship, she was only allowed to read Christian material. In 2010, about 2 years after the conservatorship was put into place, the Britney Spears Foundation, a charity created by Britney in 2001 to fund education in the performing arts, was officially closed out. The remaining funds were then donated to 2 organizations, Cry Help, a California rehab facility, and Mercy Ministries, now rebranded as Mercy Multiplied, a Christian residential program for troubled young women, which has been criticized several times for its allegedly abusive practices, including the performing of gay conversion therapy and exorcisms. Lou Taylor and her pastor husband have long-time close associations with Mercy Multiplied. In fact, when Jamie Lynn Spears got pregnant as a teenager, Lou had arranged for her to be sent to a Mercy Ministries facility until she gave birth. This is what got Lou labeled the gay demon exorcist in the Free Britney community. Now, what exactly Lou was saying to and about Britney prior to the conservatorship, we don't know. And there was a post made by Britney's Instagram account in 2019 alleging that Sam Lutfi, Britney's former manager, that's a whole thing, actually wrote those emails himself where Britney referred to Lou as a crazy lady and stalker all the way back in 2007. Now, for various reasons, I don't buy that story. For starters, the claim was made as a caption for the All Is Well video that Britney recorded while in a mental health facility that she has since claimed she was abused by and forced into against her will. Subsequent statements made by Britney indicate that that video she recorded was very deceptive and made while she was still in shock over how traumatizing her experiences within that facility were. And again, from 2008 all the way up until 2021, but especially up until 2019, anything written supposedly by Britney that we didn't actually see come from her mouth is kind of suspect. I don't doubt that a majority of the posts uploaded onto Britney's Instagram during the conservatorship did come from her, albeit through the filter of her team. But I do find this particular claim about the emails pretty dubious, since it was made in response to the emerging Free Britney movement, something that those emails played a very, very small role in. If Britney wanted to address Free Britney and quell any suspicion around her conservatorship, which it seems like she did not want to do given her later public appreciation of the movement, there were like 10 other allegations she could have addressed first. But for some reason, Britney made it a priority to address a claim that really only affected Lou Taylor. And considering this was her first public statement about the conservatorship pretty much ever, that would just be a really weird thing for Britney to prioritize, making me think that the caption probably came from someone else. Moreover, I can't for the life of me figure out why Sam Lutfi would need to forge these emails all the way back in 2007. It's not because I trust Sam Lutfi. I don't. What was he trying to frame Lou for, and why? Especially when these emails didn't even go super public until 12 years after he supposedly wrote them. Anyway, I just wanted to address the allegation that Britney didn't write these emails and state why I personally believe that she did. Okay, Lou, so don't fucking sue me. But so we have these emails, presumably written by Britney in 2007, saying that Lou told her she was possessed. But fans have kind of joined the dots on what that specifically means, inferring that Lou told Britney that she had a male gay demon inside of her, And while that maybe seems like a stretch, it does add to the lore of an email that Britney allegedly sent Lou directly in 2007, where Britney signed her email, "Love always, Jack." The assumption is that Jack is the name that Britney decided to give her gay demon, and because I think that's hilarious, that is the narrative that I will be accepting.
To all my friends at the LGBTQ community, happy Pride Month. You guys bring so much heart, passion, and articulate everything you do. Because of you, I've had the best nights of my life. I love you so much it hurts. Happy Pride Month. Bam!